Hi, this is Leanne at Complete Payroll. Welcome to Payroll Country. In this video, we're going to take a look at some shortcuts and additional tools in our Evolution Classic software. We're going to begin at the Employee button on the left-hand side, and we're going to go to our Employee Entry area. The first shortcut is in our Details tab, and when I click on that, in the third column under Reporting, I have this YTD F3. And so I can click on the button or F3 on my keyboard, and it's going to bring up a window showing me the year-to-date details for this employee. So I can see their earnings, their deductions, and taxes so far for the year. In the bottom of this window, I also have the ability to change the year, and I would click Apply, and then I can see any detail from the previous year. I also can get a preview in a different format by clicking the Preview button. And if I want to print, there is a print key as well. To close this up, I simply click on the X in the upper right-hand corner, and again, I'll close this window. The next tool is under the tab Notes. In Notes, I have the ability to enter in a payroll note or a general note. If I use the Payroll Notes window, what that does is it creates a reminder in the payroll area that there is something that needs attention for the next payroll by highlighting the employee's record in the Quick Entry grid. Going back to our employee record, we have a few more additional tools. In the upper right-hand corner, we have these icons that when we hover over, it will let us know what they are for. The first one is the Tax and Check Line Calculator. This allows me to do some simple calculations on an employee's check without actually being in payroll. So for example, if I wanted to see what the net amount might be on a bonus check for this employee, I can manipulate the information in the grid here. If I want to delete a line, I'm going to use the keys on my keyboard, Control-Delete, and it will delete each record that I choose. And then if I want to enter in a new line or edit a current line, I can use the drop-down button and type in the earning or deduction code that I would like to use. So for example, I want to give this employee a $500 bonus, and then I'm going to click on Calculate Check in the bottom right-hand corner. The system's going to calculate, and then I'll know it's done when there are red numbers down in the bottom left-hand corner. To see a further detail, I'll click on the Check Preview, and this will allow me to see the details. I can go back to the Tax tab, and if I want to make further changes like blocking taxes, I can block my federal tax. I can also do an override in state if I would like to block my state taxes and then recalculate as well. You also have items such as being able to change the tax frequency. I can change the number of dependents or status for federal and state. I also have the ability to do a net to gross function. I'll remove any amounts from the grid, and then I'll check the box net to gross and enter the net amount I want for my check in the value window below. If I want to adjust taxes, I can, and then I'll click Calculate Check, and the system will gross up from my net amount and show me the earnings, taxes, and net on the Check Preview tab. The Tax and Check Line Calculator can be used for countless scenarios. Please contact your CSR for additional assistance or written procedure manuals. To close my calculator, I'll go ahead and just click on the red X. The next tool is the Check Finder tool. When I click on this button, it's going to bring up a window that's going to show me all of the check dates for this employee during the year when I click on the Filter button. It will show me each time the employee has been paid. If I want to see the detail of any of these checks, I will highlight the row and click on the Show button, where I can see the breakdown of the earnings, deductions, and taxes. For a view of the check stub the employee received, we can click on the Preview Check button. Now it does default to the current year, but I can use the calendar windows here for beginning check date and ending check date to look at other history. To close this window, I click on the X. The next additional tool is a Favorite Reports button. The favorite reports are created in our report area, and we do have a separate video in our library designed to show you how to create your favorite reports menu. And so I do have access to it from here in my employee area. The last icon that I want to show you under additional tools is this blue globe, which is a single sign-on shortcut to our timekeeping system. So if you are using TimeWorks Plus, you can click on this blue globe as a user and it will open your web browser and take you right into your administrator portal. Moving on, we'll go into Payroll to take a look at some other additional tools and shortcuts. Here in the Payroll area, if I have company notes, I will automatically be taken to the Notes tab. And then I can click on the tab for Payroll to go and see my payroll summary. I have the additional tool buttons of my favorite reports and my single sign-on to the timekeeping system here as well. And now another shortcut is if I click this Open Payroll button, that's going to give me some additional tabs at the top of the screen to view my payroll details, such as the Checks tab that will show me all of the checks that were issued in that payroll. On the Earnings and Deductions tab, it's going to show me all of the earnings and deductions, similar to the Earnings and Deductions tab that we see within the batch area. And then also I can see tax details, again, similar to what we see in the batch area. Next, we'll move into the batch of a waiting payroll. So I'll click on the batch button at the very bottom of the screen. If I want to add a check to my grid here, I just click on the bottom row and hit the down arrow on my keyboard, and I can add a check by clicking into the employee code column and selecting the employee that I want to add that check for. If I want to delete a check, I just highlight the employee that I want to delete, and then on my keyboard, I'm going to click Control Delete, and that will delete a check from this quick entry grid. I also have a shortcut in the employee button here on the right hand side. It will take me to the employee record of the employee that I had selected, and then I can use my back arrow to go back into the payroll. If I want to see the employee rate information, I will select the employee and click on Employee Rates, which will take me to their pay rate info detail area. Again, I can click my backward arrow to take me back into my quick entry grid. To go to an employee individual check, I just double click on their name, and now I'm in the check lines. In the check lines, we also have some shortcuts and additional tools. If I want to delete a line in the employee check lines, I simply click on the line I want to delete and Control Delete on my keyboard to delete that line. If I want to add a new line, I can use the down arrow key on my keyboard, and that will give me a new line where I can enter in a new record if I'm going to add any additional hours. Also, hitting the Enter key off of my bottom line will give me a new line as well. If I have a blank new line that I don't need at the bottom, I can remove it just by simply clicking anywhere else in the grid. To move forward and backward throughout the grid, we also have the yellow arrows and blue double arrows at the top of the screen that will allow us to navigate between our records. You may also have an additional shortcut available if you have a number pad on your keyboard. On your number pad, you can use the plus sign to move forward one record and the asterisk to move back one. I also have a year-to-date button in my check lines where we can take a look at our current year-to-date information, just like we had in the employee area. If I want to create a new check here in my check lines, I'm going to click on the green plus, and it will pop up this Payroll Expert. We do have a separate video for creating additional checks in our video library at CompletePayroll.com. If I want to delete a check, I will click on the red X at the top of the screen where I'm given the warning to make sure I want to delete this check before I click OK. In the right-hand corner, I have additional tools. Just like we had in the quick entry grid, I can take a shortcut to my employee record or to the pay rate info detail for this employee. This notebook page icon will take me on a shortcut to the employee scheduled EDs. And then to go back into Payroll, I'll just go ahead and click on my reverse arrow in the top left-hand side of the screen. We also have our check finder, and we have our tax and check line calculator available in the check lines area as well. Finally, if we go back to our batch using the shortcut button at the very bottom of the screen, we have a function available as a shortcut or tool that you can create a Excel worksheet from any grid in Evolution. The way we do that is by clicking anywhere in the grid, and on our keyboard we're going to use the Control E key. That's going to pop up a window to save this grid, so I can just give it any name that I would like and save it. Once I've saved that record, I can open up my Excel spreadsheet, and you can see the detail that was in the grid is now available on my spreadsheet. Again, you can create this spreadsheet from any grid in Evolution. This concludes our look at the shortcuts and additional tools in Evolution Classic. You can see all these items and more put to use in the other Evolution Classic videos at CompletePayroll.com. Thank you for joining me, and have a great day.